What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, Advantage Play Workshop. Today's video is in a response to a request we got on my challenge video from Flight 777. It said shoot 10 on axis, 10 off axis. So I ended up doing 16 and 16. I'm doing this voiceover after, but I'll leave my other audio on so you can hear me calling out what I was about to do, shooting for on axis. We're going to be trying to throw some on axis. And for anybody that doesn't know, real quick, when using the hardways set, 4s, 5s, 3s, 2s in the center vertical axis, you have the 1s and 6s on the horizontal axis on the outsides. And all of these tests and measures of your skill are all based on how well you keep the dice on or on axis. And it allows you to, and obviously you're just dreading the double pitch of the dice where one die rotates more than the other by 2 times, resulting in the 4-3-5-2. And the only other combination is the 6-1, which are on the outside. I personally learned to do it backwards. I practiced with the same hardways set forever, and I still do it. The reason I did that was intentionally because it taught me what changes I need to make in my throw to get myself back on axis. But along the way, what I discovered was I learned how to get myself off axis using the same set, of course, to hit other numbers. Whereas some people might be changing their set, trying to repeat the same throw. And while that may have its benefits, I find that being able to make those micro adjustments in your throw while keeping the same set gives you just a better overall level of skill and range of how to make adjustments on different tables. Because certain tables, it requires different actions and different landings, different all these other things. And once I stumbled on how to do that inadvertently, it really opened my eyes to what was possible while keeping the set the same. And as I've said many times before, the higher paying numbers are on the outside, the 4s and 10s, 5s and 9s. And when you roll more 6s and 1s using the hardways set, getting off axis, you see a wider distribution on the outer higher paying numbers. And on the on axis of the 16 on axis rolls I attempted, I shot 12 out of 16, 75%. 9 of the 12 or 9 of the 16 were 6s and 8s. And that basically pays close to even money, 7 to 6. The 5s and 9s, I shot 3 of those. They were all 5s, I believe. And 2, 4, and 10s, 0, 3, and 11s, which I play, of course, as you may have seen. When you look at my off-axis intentional throws, I was 11 out of 16 off-axis, 68%. I rolled far less 6s and 8s, and double the amount of 4s and 10s, and 2 yos in the span of 16 rolls. And the yos, of course, pay 15 to 1 if you're only playing the yo and not the 3 and the 11. Which I also said I do frequently whenever I'm seeing a lot of 6s. If I'm playing both, I will put more money on the yo instead of the 3, and vice versa if I'm getting a lot of 1s. And it just makes a lot more sense to me to try to get yourself off axis using the hardways set if you can. Doesn't make a lot of sense to try and stay on axis so I can just keep hitting a bunch of even paying numbers. That's not how the game is beat, in my opinion. And again, my SRR for both 16 roll sessions was the same. It was 8, an SRR of 8. I rolled 2 7s for every 16 rolls. Still better than the random shooter. But, again, I would take the same amount of 7s as someone who stayed on axis, knowing I am going to get paid far better off when I hit the 4, 10, 3, and the 11. And I just think everybody is doing it backwards. Or maybe I'm just backwards. Who really knows? But that's the way I do it. I'm pretty much self-taught because all of the books, they all discuss being on axis. And so I'm tired of going on and on about it, but I know there's a lot of people that probably still haven't either thought of this altogether, or maybe they haven't quite grasped it, or maybe they have, but I'm sure there's some people that can benefit, so I feel like it's warranted to cover.
7 out of 11 on axis.
But again, I think when you're starting
hardways.
out, of course you want to try to deliver the dice consistently, right? And
that's it.
you
And
need to
look at that.
determine
Not
if
a
you have the
single
ability
yo
to
and
stay
not a
on
single
axis
three.
and then or
Interesting
get
how
off
that works,
axis.
huh?
But first, you
Could
really,
have some
most importantly, is know
sixes,
what your
not a single
tendencies
one. How
are.
about
Pick a
that?
set, hardway set, make it the same every time
again.
as long as you can.
Or I don't know. What do we
And
want to do?
then just begin to repeat the actions
just
that
keep
you're
rolling.
doing from one session to the next. The dice control theory is to minimize the sevens. Well, but the higher levels of skill is really manipulating the die to where you can at least controlling or influence one of the die, because obviously controlling both is very difficult if at all possible. But you don't even need to go that far. You just need to be able to get yourself off axis and get a predominant 6 or 1. If you look at the number of sixes I rolled in the off axis 16, I rolled 9 sixes and 1 1, I believe. Obviously much better to be betting the higher numbers. That's why I rolled 2 yos and no 3s. And but once you've determined what your tendencies are, then you can tailor your bets to those tendencies. So rather than spending 5 years like I did, trying to keep the dice on axis, just figure out what you're doing. Is it repeatable? And if it is, great. Then either change what's set and repeat that same action. But I learned how to just tweak my throw using all the different 7 dials that I've discussed in the Master Dice Control Beginners video of the 7 elements or the 7 dials of dice control. That really teaches you how to manipulate your release points, release angles, launch, landing, speed, spin, all those things I've covered endlessly. This is probably going to be one of the last shooting videos I make for a while. I've already got several other videos already shot. Just need to clean them up, edit them, do whatever I'm going to do on the voiceover and make those published. I've got some other business to start taking care of, been waiting on. So the YouTube channel will be taking a bit of a back seat as far as me recording roll sessions. We'll still do the live challenges when I hit 1,000 subscribers, so anything you can do to help us there, we'd appreciate. And again, love all the subscribers and the likes. We really appreciate it. This is not the Bible or the gospel. This is just one man's take, how I learned how to do it, how I learned to custom my own betting strategies to my tendencies. But now that I know I've got, which is not new, but now that I know I've got this amount of skill, I can tweak and change my throw in ways to hit certain numbers, but I don't want to hit a bunch of 6 and 8s. I want to hit a bunch of 4s, 10s, 3s, and 11s. That's where the money is. And then obviously, crapless craps is a great game for me and anyone else who has this type of frequency or these types of tendencies to be able to get off axis. So if you're a beginning shooter and you just can't get yourself on axis, but you're consistently off axis with a dominant 6 or a dominant 1, well, go no farther, my friend. You've already figured it out. Now you just keep repeating that over and over. Now each day is going to be a bit of a new day. You'll have to, you don't bring the same exact mechanics to the table every single time. But even if you did, the table may be different, right? So there's an adjustment period in every table, like I've said endlessly. The game is beaten by the higher paying numbers, not rolling a bunch of 6s and 8s, because you want to bet on numbers that allow you to have the dice less and hitting the same amount of numbers, but the higher paying ones is really where it's at. So food for thought. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'll probably be doing a little bit of talking over myself in some of these sessions, but hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if there's in the comments any of your thoughts, and we'll see what we can do to accommodate. But again, there's many different ways to go about a game that has so many ways to bet it, right? And so there is no one right or wrong answer. It's only what's best for you and your tendencies, and the only one that will know that is you. And even if you have a frequency from time to time, you're hitting certain numbers, but if only you will know if the numbers you're rolling are a result of you, right? That's why the numbers, the stats, sometimes they're misleading, right? The stats don't tell how you let those dice go. Only you know how you let them go. And so, if you know that your dice were crap that game, but you got away with it and you came away a winner, well, just consider yourself fortunate in that session. But the opposite is also true. If you were throwing the dice really well, but you just weren't having a lot of success, well, that's likely either that you weren't making whatever adjustments were needed, or you were betting on the wrong numbers and you failed to adjust. Because the game cannot be repeated and replicated day after day the same way. That's why the machines they try won't work, are inconclusive. That's why every test they've ever run is inconclusive. Because the game is not played over time. It's played in individual sessions or small sample sizes. And that's why you, as the skilled controller, know what adjustments need to be made. And then you make those adjustments. And then you keep playing. And that's why you don't run out of money. Give yourself long enough with the dice, and you will be successful. Can I guarantee that you will? No. Most people will never be able to get this far with it because they will have given up a long time ago. And it requires a tremendous amount of hand-eye coordination and faith and belief and, determination to keep going right when things aren't going your way. That's why it's important to just invest as little amount monetarily in it as you can to try and learn and practice, and then don't overspend on something you don't know if you're going to continue on. That way, in the off chance that you do give up, which most people will,
first one on the smaller side.
you didn't take up too much room or spend too much money on the setup. Start out like I did.
See here.
And
we were going for
don't build a full craps table in the beginning, right? Save that for once you fell in love with the game and you got some skill and you really want to make this a full-time passion hobby for yourself. But hope you enjoyed this one. We will
6 out of 10.
We'll see you on the next one. I have some other thoughts.
It took me a second. I will say at first, I think I got lucky on this.
See you on the next one, folks.
It took me a minute to make the little bit of change and then see if that was it, and then try to repeat that. And then, as you can see, I started to kind of get it. You know what I mean? I felt like I was hitting that one little thing where I was getting it to kick over. Obviously, it would have been sweet if they were all ones, but it comes and goes. But you do the best you can. And so, again, what is that? 1. So that's a total of 3 7s out of how many we have on that last one? 15 rolled, 16. Had to come back and reshoot this after I watched it and realized I should have just rolled 6 more times for the off axis, just so it was an even 16 and 16. I rolled what turned out to be 16 shooting for an on axis, and then I moved to the off. You already saw. All right, so 6 more. And I've just taken a 30-minute break, whatever it was. All right, but let's, paint the scene here, okay? I got 6 rolls, basically, before I got to catch my flight. I'm betting on the outside numbers because I'm shooting for off-axis. 4, 5, 9, 10, hopping the 3 and the 11. 6 rolls. One, 3, 4. Yo, 11. Oh, we weren't on that one. We were on the 5, but it's not off axis. That's fitting. 7 out on my last roll, you mother. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 out of 6 were off axis. We were already at 6. That's 11 out of 16. And we were 12 out of 16 on the on axis. So we shot for off axis, 12 out of 16. Shot for off axis, 11 out of 16. Not too shabby. See you on the next one. God damn this fucking thing. Fuck. ah,